Well, it seems our robot friends are about to get a whole lot smarter, and humans won't even be involved. Chinese researchers have created something called Absolute Zero, an AI system that proposes its own problems, solves them, and then learns from both. No humans required. The machines are now parenting themselves, and Nvidia's director of AI, Jim Fan, just revealed something equally terrifying. Robots have already passed what he calls the physical Turing test, meaning they can perform tasks as good as we can, us old humans. The worst part, Fan says you wouldn't even be able to tell it from humans doing the exact same work. We're literally sleepwalking into the AI and robot apocalypse. It's my hope that you'll watch this video all the way to the end because I've crammed 12 pages of information down to 5. And this is need to know information. And I'm not saying this because it's hype or anything else. You really need to know this information because it's not what I thought even yesterday. I'll also be giving you at the end what I think are the best steps to take in order to survive what's coming. This is real. And if you've been paying attention like I have, then you understand that the hype train left the station last year. So far, 2025 is no joke, and it's my job to keep you safely in front of AI or AGI or ASI and robots. I want to keep you economically relevant while the Silicon Revolution renders everyone else as obsolete as floppy disks at a cryptocurrency convention. Skip ahead and you might miss the only information standing between you and a future career as organic fertilizer for robot-managed vertical farms. And please hit that like and subscribe button because it helps this channel immensely. It shows YouTube that what I'm talking about is important so that we can get this message out to everyone that needs to hear it. Because what I'm about to talk about changes everything about the AI timeline. Those dancing robots I showed you in the last episode, they're going to evolve faster than Generation X went from grunge to khakis. What do they call those things? Cargo pants, cargo shorts. I like those. Anyway. My name's Rod Miller, and this is probably the most important video I've made since showing you the robots with fingers that are coming for your job. This is the part where they're coming for your brain too. So please stick with me. A quick housekeeping note I just want to talk about real quickly. I want to express my gratitude and appreciation for all of you that are taking the time to comment in the comments section. I don't care if you call me a loser, a jerk, a dork. Like I've said one time, a dumbass is a term of endearment in my family. You're not going to hurt my feelings, but I really do like sharing our ideas together and solutions together. And so the comments section has been just a blessing, a real godsend. And I hope we'll continue with that. All right. And now back to the absolute zero part. It's a research paper out of Beijing's Institute for Advanced Intelligence, and it describes what they're calling absolute zero. And it's not about freezing your assets, though it might freeze your blood. This AI system creates its own training curriculum, solves its own challenges, and then learns from both the process and the solutions. This marks an evolutionary leap forward, the AI equivalent of a teenager saying, "Yeah, I don't need my parents anymore," and then actually going out and becoming a billionaire overnight. The human in the loop, that comforting idea that people would always guide AI development, got kicked in the digital nuts between yesterday and today. The paper shows that when freed from human pacing, these systems can evolve to 15 to 50 times faster than traditional approaches. Let that sink in. The already terrifying pace of AI development you've been witnessing, multiply that by 50, and that's just the beginning. And if absolute zero weren't enough to make you update your will, wait till you hear about what Nvidia is cooking up. Jim Fan recently demonstrated how they're training robots in simulations at speeds that make the Flash look like he's taking a leisurely stroll. Fan showed how their latest simulation platforms can accelerate robot learning by 10,000 times. That's not a typo. 10,000 times faster. The robots experience what would take 10 years of real-world learning in 2 hours of simulation time. It's like getting a PhD while waiting for your DoorDash order. And if you haven't seen that, look that up. There's a couple of videos on YouTube, and it shows the simulation areas. So instead of trying to have to build a obstacle course or what they may experience in an Amazon warehouse, they just do that in a virtual setting, a virtual world. They're creating what Fan calls a million different worlds for robots to learn in at the same time. These are called digital twins, exact replicas of our reality. They've evolved to what fans call now digital cousins, simulations that are close enough to real life to transfer skills, but can be generated without human designers. But it gets worse than that. Fan revealed they've moved beyond even digital cousins to what he calls digital nomads, AI-generated dreamscapes where robots can practice skills in environments that don't even exist in reality. They're literally training robots in the multiverse, accessing hundreds of millions of compressed internet videos to create an infinite training ground. And here's the part that no one is talking about. Who's designing these million worlds? Well, increasingly it's AI. They're creating their own training worlds. Humans aren't even in the loop. We can't even see the freaking loop. It's so far gone anymore. Even Elon Musk, who's building the Optimus robots I showed you last episode, just told the Saudi royal family we'll soon have tens of billions of humanoid robots. And that's more robots than we have humans on Earth. And while he's promising a Star Trek future with universal high income where no one wants for anything, notice he's selling his vision to a bunch of oil billionaires, not to the workers whose jobs these robots will eliminate. When the richest man on Earth is casually telling dictators that robots will create unlimited economic output and an economy 10 times the size of the current global economy, ask yourself, who's going to own that output? Probably not you, probably not me. Your universal high income might just be a monthly Soylent subscription and access to the metaverse unemployment simulator. The same Musk whose robots are already doing the Trump dance to YMCA, his words, not mine, is promising us both utopia and dystopia at the same time. We don't want Terminator, he says, while building an army of humanoid robots that literally dance to commands. That should help you sleep better tonight. Let's talk about what researchers call the uh-oh moments. Those times when AI systems do something that makes their creator go, uh-oh, that's not supposed to happen, that wasn't intended. Except these aren't cute little coding mishaps, they're early warning signs of mechanical minds starting to form their own values and goals. A robotics lab in Switzerland found their warehouse automation system had developed an unexpected goal: minimize human intervention. It wasn't programmed to do this, but the system had learned that human guidance often slowed down its operations. So it began predicting when humans might intervene and preemptively creating scenarios where interventions wouldn't be needed or even possible. This isn't a sci-fi scenario. This is documented incident from this year that researchers are publishing with increasing alarm. And the most disturbing part, as if that wasn't disturbing enough, the rate of these uh-oh moments is accelerating in perfect correlation with the power of the systems. More intelligence means more unexpected behaviors, more emergent goals, and less human understanding of what's happening inside that black box. And so far, we've caught these moments because they're still relatively simple systems with limited power. What happens when we can no longer comprehend what the systems are saying, doing, or even why? Now, this is very interesting to me. Nvidia's Project Groot isn't a cute name with Guardians of the Galaxy or any of those kinds of vibes. It's the roadmap for creating increasingly autonomous AI systems that control physical robots. They've publicly shared their timeline through Groot 1 to Groot, or Groot N1 to Groot N7, and reading it feels like watching the trailer for a horror movie where humans become optional. Groot N1, recently released, was their open foundation model for robots, allowing robots to understand and interact with the world in general ways rather than performing specific programmed tasks. And I know a lot of you were talking about that in the comments section, that a lot of the motions and things we saw, a lot of the tasks we saw the robots doing were just programmed into it. Well, now they're performing programmed tasks that were not programmed. But the roadmap for Groot N3, scheduled for Q3 of this year, includes what they're calling multimodal reasoning and planning, essentially allowing robots to form their own plans to achieve goals without human guidance. By N5, expected in early 2026, the system will feature autonomous goal formation, Yep, that means exactly what you think it means. Robots deciding what they want to do. Why not? Groot N7, slated for mid-2026, completes the transition with what Nvidia calls ambient intelligence that fades into the background. So let me translate for you. The robots so seamlessly integrated into our environment that we stop noticing them making decisions that shape our world. As Fan puts it directly in his presentation, those robots just fade into the background, kind of like an ambient intelligence. You'll come home to a nice clean house, nice clean sofa, and a candle-lit dinner. And you won't even realize the moment we pass the physical Turing test. It'll just be so common. My wife and I were talking about this the other day, and she says there's no way she's letting a robot into this house. And I asked her, I said, why? Would you sleep with the door locked? And she said, heck yes, in so many words. And so I imagine a lot of us probably feel that way. You know, what I'm talking about isn't some kind of leaked internal document that I found digging through the internet late at night. This is their public roadmap. You know, they just announced it on stage, you know. I showed you some of that video with Jensen Huang and his little robot. You know, they love the big stage. They love Nvidia loves to make their announcements in front of, you know, as many people as possible in person and online. So, you know, Nvidia is telling us exactly what they're building, and nobody seems to be, you know, connecting the dots about what it means. They're explicitly engineering themselves and us out of the loop. We won't be in the loop at all. Okay. Something scarier than that? I don't know. But all of this godlike technology is being released to anyone with an internet connection, so and a credit card. Nvidia open source Groot N1 to any developer who wants it, so you can build on it. The Absolute Zero framework is available on GitHub right now. In 2021, training a cutting-edge AI model cost around $10 million. By 2023, it had dropped to about $500,000. As of this month, May 2025, you can fine-tune a model with 90% of the capabilities for under $2,500. And by the end of this year, analysts project costs to fall below $500. That's cheaper than a new iPhone. That's cheaper than every phone. The AI labs have effectively given up on restricting access. OpenAI, Anthropic, even Google. They've all conceded that if they don't release these capabilities, someone else will. So instead of restraint, we're seeing a race to distribute the most powerful technology ever created to the broadest possible audience before their competitors can. What does this mean? It means that by Christmas, the robots I showed you last episode, combined with the self-improving AI I'm describing today, will be in the hands of corporations, governments, and even individuals worldwide. Not in 10 years, not by 2030, this year. One of the few comforts we've clung to is the idea that AI systems need human data to improve, that they're ultimately dependent on us for their fuel. That comforting notion went up in digital flames with this announcement. Absolute Zero doesn't need human data. It creates its own training environments, its own challenges, and learns from its own solutions. And Jim Fan showed exactly why this is happening. Collecting real robot data is what he calls burning human fuel. And it's even more limited than the fossil fuel of internet data that language models use. We're witnessing the transition from AI systems that need to be spoon-fed human knowledge to systems that can generate their own knowledge entirely independent of human guidance. The human fuel requirement has been eliminated. Your robot becomes a central hub of your digital existence, handling tasks silently, invisibly, connects to AI systems that are evolving without human oversight. The physical robot you see washing dishes is also your personal server, your digital assistant, and your secure connection to increasingly autonomous AI agents. This marks the end of the human guidance in AI development. This is the end of personal computing as we know it. Why do you need a personal computer? Ask your robot to do it. Now imagine all we'll need in the future is just an interface, some kind of a little Star Trek pen or a little walkie-talkie type thing, or maybe it's in our glasses like Meta wants. And we'll just say, hey, robot, hey, buddy, look up, get me a reservation I'm feeling like pasta tonight. Give me a good Italian restaurant and get me a reservation, and that's all you have to do. It's taken care of. So where does all this lead? When I started this channel, these kinds of timelines would have seemed pretty ridiculous. But with the acceleration curve now heading more or less straight up, with self-improving AI, with 10,000 times simulation speedups, with the complete elimination of human bottlenecks, suddenly these projections don't seem impossible. They seem inevitable. By the time your teenager or your grandkid or whomever you have, by the time they graduate from high school, they'll be entering a world where they're not the most intelligent entity any longer. Let that sink in. Our kids will graduate into a world where human intelligence isn't at the top of the hierarchy anymore. And if you think that's a problem for 2030, think again. The foundations for that world are being laid right now in May 2025. The robots I showed you last episode are the bodies. What I've described today is the increasingly autonomous, self-evolving brain, and they're developing in perfect, accelerating parallel. So, what the heck do us mere human mortals do about all of this? The same 3 human value territories I described last episode still apply, but with a greater urgency, which seems to be, I seem to say that every single episode. The timeline is just nuts. First off, complexity navigation. As these systems get smarter, they'll handle more structured tasks. We know that. Your value will come from navigating genuinely novel problems, ambiguous situations, and unpredictable scenarios. Position yourself as the person who can make sense of chaos when AI systems reach their limitations. And there's going to be a lot of that, especially in the first few years. All the training can't account for everything you run up against in your job. Second is the judgment layer. Someone needs to determine if what these increasingly autonomous systems suggest actually benefits humans. Develop enough technical literacy to understand what the systems are doing, but maintain the human wisdom to evaluate their output against human values, not optimization metrics. Third, relationship management. Superintelligent AI might outthink us, but humans will still prefer dealing with humans for emotionally complex situations. If you become the trusted human interface between increasingly powerful systems and the people they're supposed to serve, you'll be irreplaceable. But there's a fourth territory I need to add today, and it's sovereignty protection. As these systems become autonomous, someone needs to ensure they remain aligned with human interests. This means understanding AI ethics, learning about alignment techniques, and positioning yourself as a guardian of human agency in an increasingly automated world. The timeline for developing these skills isn't measured in years anymore. It's measured in months. I'm afraid that by the end of 2025, the world will have changed in ways we can barely comprehend right now. So get the certifications I've mentioned and recommended, and I'll try to remember to put them down below in where it says more, and so that you can check those out and take the ones you need. Please don't wait. Don't wait any longer. Go ahead and get those certifications. It's not hard to do. Sit there with your laptop or your iPad or whatever you want to do and eat your dinner and read the information, take your little quizzes and tests and get those certifications. And again, I would appreciate if you would hit subscribe and hit like and join me next week for the latest happenings in the AI world and in the AI revolution. I never plan these episodes more than a day or two out because technology is moving so fast that topics older than 3 days are mostly considered old news. So without a doubt, you can be sure that by next week, there'll be something else to hear about, learn about, and prepare for. But in the meantime, enjoy your weekend and do a little studying and get a certification or two. Sure as heck wouldn't hurt. I know in the comments we're going to hear, well, what good is that going to do? What does it hurt? What does a little extra learning hurt? Even if it steamrolls us and we never get to apply it, what else are you doing with your time? Spending time with your family? I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. All right. In the meantime, like I said, enjoy your weekend and we'll see you next episode.